All right, hello everyone. Welcome to Script Notes live for the first time ever. Although I suppose they're all live really because we put them out live. I am, of course, as always, joined by my lovely evil co-host, Navean. Hi, Navean. How you doing?
That is absolutely me. You cannot prove otherwise.
You say that. I think I might be able to. Hey, Navean, you want a mint? I've got some lovely mints for you here.
You'll notice that my mouth is occupied by a knife, which is going to stab you
Here we go.
while you sleep.
Here we go. That's a lovely mint. There we go. Enjoy. Eat tasty. Okay.
That's definitely what happened, yeah.
We are also joined by we're going to be talking today about the scripts that are our finalists for the Mayor Script Competition. So we're going to be talking quite a bit about the electoral process today and how you succeed in a burgeoning democracy in small-town Ravenswoodia. And I have with me Milk. Hi, Milk. How you doing?
Hi, Alejo. Hi, Navean. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. How are you, Navean?
Warm.
Very warm. It's probably your thick feathers that's doing it.
Very thick.
You should have another mint.
Very
Here we
downy.
go. There we go. Another mint. Is that better?
I have a paradoxical reaction to menthol, which is what makes mint feel cold, but actually it makes me burn. So no, you've made me warmer.
Oh, no. Oh, dear. Well, I'm sure you'll be fine. We also have Samir, who has written Too Many Mayors.
Hello.
Hi. Brief and to the point. I like it. Those of you who've seen Script Notes before will be aware that Navean and I like to get sidetracked with all manner of things. I'll put the mints away. But today we have 1 hour to get through 2 scripts. We usually have 2 hours to get through 1 script, so let's get to it. We're going to start with Samir's script, Too Many Mayors, which I think is it on screen now? It should be on screen now. Is that the right one?
No.
Yeah, cool.
No.
No, it's not. Okay.
I don't know how to change it.
Okay.
It has trust up right now.
We're going to start with trust.
I'm going to go first.
Okay.
We'll figure that out later.
How you can tell it's live.
Yeah. You got away from the microphone a bit there. There we go. So, Milk, talk to us about why we should trust.
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good with that. I thought, one of the core experiences of Blood on the Clocktower that I love is the idea of playing with people over and over again. And eventually, at some point, you've all been evil, you've all murdered each other, and it's great. But at some point, you have to do a trust fall with somebody that you've murdered 1,000 times, that's murdered you 1,000 times, that's betrayed you over and over again. And I just wanted to make a script that kind of looked at that as the core experience of Blood on the Clocktower.
So talk to us about, you got the assignment, which was build a script with a mayor on it. What was the first thing that went into your head? What was the first thing that, mayor, that works with, or did you build it in some other way?
Yeah, I kind of went a little bit of a different, I took a little bit of a different approach. The first thought about it was, mayor has 2 parts, right? There's 2 parts to the mayor ability. There's the protection part of the ability, and then there's the trust fall part of the ability. And so the big thing I wanted to do was I wanted to try to avoid a substantial amount of drunken poisoning. On TB where the mayor lives, poisoning is the danger for the mayor. So we have drunk on the script, so that's a way that the mayor can not get, their ability not work. And we have vigor mortis on the script, which is a way that their ability cannot work. And then we have marionette on the script, which is a way that the mayor's ability cannot work. So,
but interestingly, they do still win.
They do still win. Yes, that's right. They do still win, even though their ability doesn't work. So I wanted to take away that part of poisoning the mayor. If you can find a real mayor at the end of the game and actually trust fall with that mayor, you get the win. You don't kind of get cheated. So, and then I just looked at I love lunatic with mayor because when the lunatic makes a pick, sometimes the demon wants to pick elsewhere, so the lunatic can pick someone, and the demon can pick someone else, and the lunatic might go, I don't know is that a mayor bounce? There's a reason, so there's kind of that kind of stuff in there. And then, mayor's just interesting when it can also recur in the game. So there's philosopher and cannibal, which both allow you to get another mayor in some various different way, allow good to kind of cover for their mistakes.
Sure. Since we're not really actually talking about the script all that much at the moment, I'll ask the same sort of philosophy question, which is an interesting choice because both of these scripts do have the philosopher on them. Samir, what was it that inspired you in your script writing for this assignment?
So the initial idea behind my script was to give as many people a reasonable reason to claim to have the mayor ability.
Right.
The mayor ability is one that's very hard to confirm on your own. If you're the mayor, you can say you're the mayor, but you can't prove it. So I want to give as many people a reason to do that, which is why I added the philosopher. Obviously, they don't have to choose the mayor, but they can, and it's fun.
Sure. All right, we'll talk about the actual scripts themselves. And you will notice some similarities between the scripts, but you'll also notice plenty of differences between them. So we're going to talk about trust, which is the one that is on screen right now. It's unusual in a lot of Clocktower scripts in that you've only chosen to put 2 demons on it. What was your thinking behind the Imp and the Vigor Mortis? I always like to start with demons as a place to go with the script.
Yeah, I mean, Imp is a fantastic demon that lives on TB with the mayor, right? So Imp is my favorite demon, so it gets to be on the script because of that reason. But also, it allows you to distrust people who die at night, right? Because the Imp can jump to someone else. And Vigor Mortis does the same thing, but also gives you some outsider manipulation and also kind of gives you the ability to consider what value your minions have. So it allows you to think about, like, as you learn what's going on in the Grim, as you learn the good team, the Vigor allows you to manipulate that. And the Imp kind of can do the same thing in different ways. But you can't trust dead people. Right? Dead people aren't auto-trusted.
What I think is really interesting about Vigor Mortis here is that it is a way for the mayor to be poisoned, but it's also a much more traceable way, right? If your mayor is not sat next to anybody who's died at night and you think it's a Vigor game, well, you either have to trust that the mayor is good and then you're solid, or they're just evil and bluffing mayor.
And to be fair, I was at least moderately inspired by one of my favorite scripts, which is Dead Not Done, which is a solo Vigor script written by someone very clever.
That would be me.
That's right.
Flattery will get you nowhere.
It will get you everywhere.
It'll get you somewhere with one half of the table, and it'll
The important half.
score you negative points with the one with the mints. Yeah, so let's talk about the Vigor then, and the minions that you've chosen. The Serenovus obviously shares a script with the Vigor Mortis.
Yep.
The Godfather can have its ability maintained for the game.
Yep.
Mezephiles is a really interesting one I find to put with the Vigor Mortis. Do you want to talk us through it?
Yeah, so Mezephiles obviously is, you learn a word and you get to turn someone evil with your word if they say it. One of the big dangers with Mezephiles is that you get killed before someone says your word, and Vigor Mortis kind of protects you from that. It enables the Mezephiles to do some other interesting things. The other cool thing I like about it is that Mezephiles and Assassin are both kind of just done after they do their thing, and Vigor Mortis lets them be more, right? It lets them be a poisoning as well. It lets them manipulate the table as well.
Right.
Here's what you do as a Vigor killed Mez. You wait till there's 4 players alive, and you go to a good player, and you're like, hey, just say this word, and we'll all be evil and win.
Ideally, the mayor.
Ideally, the mayor.
How much have you played this script?
I've played in it 4 times. I've run it 3 or 4 other times.
Have you ever seen an evil mayor win or a marionette win?
We've been really close to an evil mayor win. We had a marionette. We had a marionette turned pixie Philo cannibal Philo oracle that happened once, which is yeah. We had a pixie Philo who the Philo died and got the ability of the Philo, so they went cannibal. The cannibal had eaten the Philo, so they got to get the Philo ability again, and then they used the Philo ability to get Oracle, and since they were evil, they were poisoning both the cannibal and the Oracle with the Philo ability. They were drunking the cannibal and the Oracle with the Philo ability. Yeah.
Amazing.
It was pretty good.
Amazing.
Recursion.
Yeah. That was one of the things that, before we went live, I asked you to briefly sum up what you thought about the script, and that was one of the things that you highlighted, the philosopher and cannibal loop. It's on both scripts. Weird coincidence. Do you want to talk any more about that?
I mean, it's useful because Philo and Cannibal both let you get, they let the good team get reuses of things that are gone often, but moreover, it helps town recover from mistakes a little bit. Like the Cannibal can give you another shot at something that gets, that gets lost badly, that gets killed off or executed badly. The Philo lets you get another shot at an ability. Again, ideally Mayor in every situation, but you might use other abilities. There's a couple of good ones per games, type things. Noble and Librarian and Seamstress are all kind of good to grab with Philo. They're good to grab with Cannibal. And so it gives good extra shots at the information while not getting super strong confirmation. I'm very anti-confirmation, if you can't tell from looking at the script. I'm not a big confirmation guy.
What I think is interesting about Cannibal and Mare specifically is that Mare has been executed off at like 5 or 6 players left, which means that they were probably executed as a pretty strong demon candidate. So if you have that Cannibal Mare in a final 3, how much is that really going to be trusted?
Yeah, it's a good question, right? I mean, just how much trust you can build at the end of the game. You kill off the mayor who you were sure was the demon. There's no Scarlet Woman here, and suddenly, it was the mayor. Well, do we trust the cannibal now? So it's like a cascade of trust. Like, can you trust the? Can you trust? Yes, I'm being threatened badly. Can you trust the cannibal mayor more now that the mayor has died and not been the demon?
Let's talk about the outsiders. You already mentioned the lunatic as being an interesting one to put with a mayor. Obviously, one of the things that is a tell for a lunatic is regularly, I picked that player and they didn't die.
Right.
Well, maybe you picked the mayor.
It might keep the lunatic. It might keep the lunatic engaged for another day or two, right?
Right.
That's the thing. It might keep the lunatic going. Oh, maybe. It also gives the demon a chance to go. Ooh, they picked my minion. We have mayor as a bluff, right? So like maybe I can make something go on. Keep it going.
Yeah.
Drunk obviously is like the most clock towery of all clock towery characters, and I just think it fits very nicely. I didn't want to have so much poisoning, but one drunk is always good. Recluse needs to be there for misregistration. Fortune teller's on the script, for better or worse. I think it needs to be on the script, but it needs some things to mess with it. And again, there's a lot of TB elements here because they do work well in coordination with mayor. So,
right.
And then politician. I mean, I think people have differing opinions on politician. I'm very much the politician needs to lose the game for their team. They need to do something that is most it needs to be noticeable. It's not just I spiked a vote somewhere, or I was kind of being chaotic or weird. Like for me as a storyteller, at least, the politician has to cost their team the game very strongly, because the demon's been killing good players. You've got to do more than what the demon's done to win the game. So politician and mayor are really interesting together, because you could have a politician who claims mayor until the end and then goes, actually guys, I was a politician, I don't think I can win with evil, we need to do something else. I wasn't the mayor or whatever.
Or you could have the politician go for the mayor and just fail in their electoral attempts.
Absolutely, it's exactly true. So
okay, let's have a look at our townsfolk then. We'll move on to them. We'll start by looking at the mayor is obviously something that we are talking about in the framework of everything else, but there's plenty of other characters. So we'll talk about it from the perspective of the recluse, since you brought that up. Characters that the recluse can mess with can definitely mess with are the noble, fortune teller, oracle, seamstress, and raven keeper. And ones that can kind of mess with are the librarian and the cannibal.
Yep.
Do you think that's the sort of amount that you want? Would you like to see more things for the recluse to do?
I mean, it's the storyteller's choice, right? The storyteller wants to build a game that's going to be fun and balanced. So they're hopefully not going to misregister the recluse for every single piece of information, although that might, in some cases, that might be helpful too, in figuring out, I've got a recluse in my noble ping, or I've got a recluse, I picked a recluse in a fortune teller pick. It can be more useful to have those false positives so that you're not just the drunk or something like that.
Absolutely.
Put the recluse in the noble ping and then have the librarian confirm the recluse and watch everybody be very upset about what you've just done.
Yeah. We did that, and it works. It's fine. Everybody's just really frustrated, and it's great. They're having fun frustration. I shouldn't say it's bad.
Recluse has another interesting thing that it can do that isn't with the townsfolk.
Yeah, it's
You
vigor
know where
mortis.
I'm going with this,
Yeah, it's
don't you?
vigor mortis.
Vigor
yeah.
mortis. Talk to us about it.
Yeah,
One of my favorites.
Vigor can kill it's an absolutely amazing interaction. Vigor can kill the recluse, and if the storyteller chooses, they can register the recluse as a minion and have the recluse poison a townsfolk. If evil's behind, it's a great catch-up mechanic that the storyteller can put into play, and it's really strong.
All right, let's talk about the pixie.
Yeah.
What are you doing with the pixie?
Well, again, the idea was to get the ability for the mayor to be in play. I've actually done this with Pixie Mayor before. I've run Trust with Pixie Mayor before. Yeah, and having another mayor in play, or another possible mayor in play, allows you the chance to maybe not bounce the kill off the mayor sometimes, right? Because you've got another mayor waiting in the wings. You got a Pixie Mayor. You can have a mayor get confirmed by a Pixie, which isn't like the strongest confirmation, but it's a little bit of confirmation. So I think it's kind of useful in that it helps guide town toward the mayor potentially. But I mean, Pixie can be great with other things as well, right? Librarian's a great thing to get with Pixie because if the librarian's likely to get killed off, and so you maybe get another outsider or you get a confirmation of an outsider. I like Oracle. I think Oracle's really good to have in a script with Imp and Vigor Mortis, and so Pixie Oracle's great because you're going to get that information, and it's not like some other roles where you need the scaling of multiple knights.
Okay.
I will point out that with Pixie and Cannibal, anything that, if you have both in the game, anything that Pixie sees, if that player is executed, you now have 3 instances of the same ability. I have done this with a Noble, and I have had to create 9 Noble pings in a single game.
You've also got a Philo on that, so...
The admin's rough sometimes, for sure.
Just things to keep in mind when you're running.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, let's talk about the Pixie Mayor, and I'm going to throw this one open to both of you, considering that you both have a Pixies on your script. I, generally speaking, and the side effect of this is also something that applies to both of you. I, generally speaking, am reluctant to go for to try and make the most of my Pixie ability if I see the Mayor, because you can never really know if the storyteller has judged you to have gained the ability. You don't know if you have the Mayor ability. On a lot of scripts, you don't know if a poisoner has just happened to randomly snipe you on that night. Obviously, that's not a problem on either of these scripts because you don't have a poisoner. Although Too Many Mayors does have a sailor, which can do the same thing, but it's more traceable. How confident would you be or could you be as a Pixie that you're going to not lose in the saddest possible manner if you go for the Mayor win?
I mean, of course, it depends on the storyteller and how well you understand their understanding of madness. But I think it's a viable strategy as long as you actually are doing it. You're not saying, "Oh, I'm the mayor, but they're also the mayor. Let's just live with it and move on."
Right.
In my mind, that's not really doing the madness justice. But you also don't have to nominate them for execution every single day.
Right.
But also, the Pixie behind the script makes it easier for evil to bluff and do that double claim, saying, "Oh, I'm the Pixie mayor," and not have to worry about it because it could happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, with Pixie Pixie's a townsfolk, right? So it's trying to help town out, and it's useful, I think, to think about that from the perspective of the Pixie gets a choice, right? Give the Pixie player agency. They see a mayor, maybe they just want to say, "Hey, I'm the Pixie. I've seen a mayor. We've got a mayor. Let's do that," right? So it's a choice. Madness is a choice in that case for the Pixie.
That's often how I like to play a Pixie Mayor. I don't think I think I pulled it once, Pixie Mayor.
You definitely can't be certain, but that also makes the end game decision much spicier for you. And who doesn't enjoy that?
It's spicy.
It's fun.
I'm not sure it's always fun.
Maybe not always fun.
If you're like, yeah, we got the Mayor win, and the storyteller's just like,
no risk, no reward.
But yeah, I do think there is a lot to be said because a confirmed Mayor is strong. A washwoman seeing a Mayor on TB is very strong, and often that Mayor might not survive a single attack if that confirmed.
Yeah.
I think there's definitely advantages to the good team to it and disadvantages. But let's just go back to Trust for a second and talk about other things that the Pixie can see because they won't always be seeing a Mayor.
That's right.
Talk us through the options. What do you think are good options? What do you think might be less ideal?
Usually, you want to think strongly before having extra philosophers and extra cannibals in games, obviously, because it can make complications. So again, as Navean pointed out, your level of interest in doing admin in the game may vary. But I do think Pixies that see strong roles like Fortune Teller, Oracle, Monk, that's always very helpful for the good team because it does give you the insurance, it does give you that fallback position, and those maybe you can be a little softer about pushing on the other person. Maybe you just kind of avoid them, or however you're going to play it. I also like Pixie with one-use abilities because again, the person who has the actual token, they're going to try to get killed off fairly early, or they're going to be willing to get killed off fairly early. So I think there's some benefits there that town can use death to their advantage.
Right.
They can get killed off for their own benefit, which is good.
Yeah, I think there are definitely some. I think that showing a Pixie once per game character like the Seamstress is probably something that's going to make the Pixie as strong as it can be on the script. Whereas I think that giving it something like a fortune teller or a general provides a level of continuity. It's kind of giving the Pixie kind of like a second life, if you will, because you can go from the character that the Pixie sees a second life. You can go from one set of info to the other, and particularly with a general, that can be very useful.
Yeah, because general information seems weak until you realize that it's information about all the other information. It's meta information, right? And so the general has their information, and then they die, and then the Pixie starts getting information, right? You get that continued information. I mean, it's just the same stack of information, so you can work together. It gives people reasons to. I always like to give people reasons to interact with one another. That's another important thing, but that's kind of all script building, I think.
I don't think Mullabach is here, which means that I can suggest Pixie Ravenkeeper for double the birds. And you have a Godfather. You can get both Ravenkeeper and Pixie Ravenkeeper to proc on the same night if you're lucky.
Yep.
Bad goose.
It's a great idea.
It is a great
Excellent
idea.
goose.
Excellent goose. Good goose.
Do that next time we're on it.
Let's. What was I going to mention there? Okay, let's talk about one thing that I spot. Are General and Oracle doing similar things on the script?
I don't think so, but it is how I storytell General differently. Oracle is very specific information that really tracks the imp vigor mortis problem. General is much broader information. General, in the very first game of Trust that we played, that we tested, it was a text game that we played, and the General was getting information that said that good was winning, good was winning, good was winning, good was winning, and it turned out, of course, that the General had been vigor poisoned, right? But figuring that out helped figure out where a minion was, helped figure out the evil team, and so they don't exactly do the same things because it's not just about how many good are alive, how many evil are alive for Oracle information. It's, are you getting useful information? Are you getting bad information? If you get noble, you get noble information day one, and then the noble dies, and the cannibal goes, oh yeah, I got 3 evil pings, and the general's gone from slightly good to slightly evil. Something's wrong, right? Something has happened that's gone wrong, and I think that's how you have to think about general information for it to be as useful as possible. You can't just go, oh well, have we got more players or not?
Sure.
I actually think General is pretty interesting with Mayor specifically because you as a storyteller can gauge whether you think town trusts that mayor, and that can factor into your general information.
Yeah, I think that's right.
Absolutely. I do think that's a very interesting thing that can be done with the general for sure. I think that there are a lot of people who regularly watch script notes who will be very upset with me if I didn't mention the potential for shenanigans that you've got with the lunatic, the marionette, and the librarian. There are many things that
Yes.
that combination of characters can do. There's no real need to go into it in too much detail, but know that it's noticed.
It's favorite.
Carried over time. Okay, that's just not going to tell me. So, what else have we got to talk about? The monk. Monk can obviously protect from demon kills. Thank you. And it can also protect from vigor mortis poison.
Yeah, and it can protect from imp jumps and all kinds of other interesting things. But yeah, especially vigor mortis poison, right?
Yeah.
It's a good way if you think someone's been vigor poisoned, you can try to reverse engineer it.
Cool. You've got the potential for 2 extra evils on the script.
Yes, and I normally wouldn't put that onto a script. I'm very vehement about not having too many extra evils in play. A storyteller's going to think about that when they put stuff. This is me trusting the trusting the storyteller a little bit and saying, okay, a storyteller's not going to put a poly and a mez in the game without thinking about it. I also, as I said earlier, I don't turn polys just because they were being chaotic or whatever. So I think politicians should play more intentionally than that. And so it seems to be okay. It can be a little rough depending on your group. If your group is very much into the chaos play kind of realm, then
You also have the exact opposite problem of an evil politician, potentially.
Yeah. It can happen, and evil shouldn't out to the politician. Like, I've played in games where the evil team has the Grim from the Spy or the Widow, and they go, oh, hey, politician, here's the information, right?
Yeah.
And then the poly's like, oh yeah, I'll win with evil. But they could literally just win instantly with good.
Yeah, I'm talking more about the case where a Mazeplis turns a politician and says, hey, welcome to the evil team. Don't vote for that player, they're the demon.
Yeah. It's the
We
same
should vote for
problem.
that player, they're the demon.
Yeah, exactly.
I did see Demeta walk in, and since spy has been brought up with politician, I do need to mention the Juggler 5 when I was the spy. But it wasn't the Juggler 5 because he was the politician, but he did juggle me as my spy bluff.
I got a Juggler 5 that I should never have gotten.
Amazing.
But I did not tell him the Grim.
Okay. That's about half the time. But before we flip it over, I would like to give Samir the option or the opportunity to absolutely tear the script to shreds. Go ahead. What do you
Actually, I have one
Please do.
question
Okay, go
first.
ahead, Navean.
Because it does apply to both scripts, so you can both answer this. When you have a fortune teller in a script that is all about the mayor, how often do you make the mayor the red herring?
I do pretty often, but you can't do it every time. Then it becomes cliche, and that's what people expect.
One in however many townsfolk are in the game is the appropriate answer, I think. But sometimes, you have to sometimes, right? Because it's a win condition, and so you want to try to manipulate that. So, I don't know, maybe a third of the time, maybe 25%. It's hard to say exactly.
Yeah, sorry, Navean. Is there anything else you want to talk about on trust?
No, I think we covered it.
Nice. So yeah, Samir, over to you. What do you think of the script? What do you think of your opposition for the...
I have not played the script. I haven't played any of the other scripts in the competition. It makes me too anxious.
Yeah.
But I was wondering your reasoning behind the Magician versus another character.
Yeah, so it's a fair question. Magician, if we want Lunatic to be interesting, we'd probably have to do more with it than just throw it on a script and go, oh, well, maybe, it'll take them a day to figure it out, right? Like, usually Lunatics figure it out really fast. So Magician enables that Lunatic situation, but more importantly, it disrupts the evil team's ability to work together. And that's crucial, especially in a situation where you have the potential of extra evils, where you have the potential of politician. I want a game of this, I want a 15-player game of Trust as the imp bluffing politician sitting next to the lunatic who we mez-turned. But there was a magician in the game, and so the only person I knew that could be trustworthy was, or I knew what they were, was the lunatic. So, the amount of information that the evil team gets is heavily impacted, or you can't share information with one another. Like, oh, somebody gets a hard claim and they don't get to go and tell the demon the hard claim that they got, right? So, Magician, I think with Lunatic is great, and I just think it works here for disruption. Yeah, it's very strong for Town, I think, here, because there's so, their information is limited.
Yeah, because I have Poppygrower in mind, and I was considering between Magician or Poppygrower. Just wondering why you made this choice.
It's a softer approach, and it does hopefully get the evil team to more or less find each other within 3 days. So yeah, it's just a different approach.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to talk about?
No, like I said, I haven't played it, so I can't criticize it.
Fair enough. That's very, very gallant of you to not take this opportunity to knock the competition down a peck or two. We'll see if Milk is as kind to you when it's your
He's
turn.
played mine.
I think
played
I'm
this.
the only one who does any pecking around here.
Bad Goose.
I
Alright.
bite Alejo.
All right. We're now going to talk about Too Many Mayors. Do we have any tech gremlins that can help us figure out how we talk about Too Many Mayors?
Is it just in another tab?
Is it in another tab?
Hit F11.
Uh-huh.
There you go.
Click on the other
Wonderful.
tab.
Technology. All right. So,
Okay. Oh, other tab. Oh, the other tab. Oh, hey. All right. Samir got it.
The script is too many mayors, but apparently we have too many tabs.
we've got two of them. There are two scripts.
Yeah, that's too many tabs.
Too many.
Too many. Okay. All right. Let's talk about Too Many Mayors, and we'll start with the biggest difference between the two scripts, which is our host of demons. I think is fair to say. There's quite a lot of similarities in Townsfolk and minions in particular. But yeah, let's talk about these demons. We've got the Leech, we've got the Fangu, we've got the Vortox, and the Legion, which is a much more exotic branch of demonhood. Talk to us.
So I put the Legion on there because I don't think Legion is actually very fun, but the threat of Legion can be.
It's a good start. That's a promising start.
Yeah, but the threat of a Legion can make the game very interesting.
Sure.
Because a good team is never really sure what's going on. It makes unusual voting patterns stand out more, even if it's just someone's whim. So I like that threat there. And you have to throw a Legion game in every now and then just to make it reasonable.
Sure.
And for that, that's why I had the Poppygrower, because Legion games are not fun for the evil team, but when you throw a Poppy Grower in, it gives them the little mini game they can play to find their team. It's objectively worse for them, but it's more fun, and that's okay.
Right. Yeah, so what about the, what have we got with the other demons? Talk to us about Leech, Fangu, and Vortox. And yeah.
Vortox, I want to make sure that to give the town some urgency to making sure they're executing each day until they figure out whether it is or is not a Vortox game or not. It also makes some information, whether it's Vortox versus whether it's Legion, a little confusing between the two.
Sure.
Until they eventually figure that out.
I'm going to throw, since you mentioned, when we're talking about Legion, since you mentioned the Poppy Grower, I'm going to throw the biggest controversy of the script that I've seen at a quick glance at you, which is Vortox and Poppy Grower. How do you feel about it?
Vortox is supposed to help the evil team.
Right.
That is my opinion on it.
Right. So you would ignore
Yeah.
I think that's fair.
I think that's the correct choice.
I think that should absolutely be how it is, but we don't all get what we want, do we?
That's why we house rule.
Yeah,
Because
absolutely.
sometimes we're better than the game makers.
Absolutely.
Fangu I put in to give outsiders a reason to stay hidden.
Sure.
Some of them have reason already, but
Yeah.
and Leech give the evil team a chance to snipe the mayor.
Sure.
It's not guaranteed. It's not probably won't happen, but it's a chance, and it's a fun chance.
It's going to happen sometimes. It's inevitable.
So we're talking about before we went live, as I said to about Milk, talking about the various things that you were trying to do with the lunatic. When I asked you like what your idea of the script was, to summarize the script in a few sentences, you talked about Legion, which we just covered, and you talked about Evil Twin as being two characters that you don't personally like, but you've tried to make work here. So as the Evil Twin is the only minion on this script that Trust doesn't have, do you want to talk about it?
So, as I said before, the idea behind the script is to give as many people the reason to claim to be the mayor as possible. So Evil Twin just fits there.
Sure.
But it's not so obvious when you have all the other reasons for double claiming going on that it makes the twin pair feel isolated,
Sure.
which is the problem I often see with Evil Twins.
So Evil Twin works quite nicely with Poppy Grower in the sense that the demon, of course,
Doesn't know.
doesn't know which one it is. So they might want to sort of interrogate them both to be like, is it you? Is it you? But obviously in such a way that they're not telling the good twin that they're the demon, because you don't want to do that. It kind of turns the Poppy Grower into part Poppy Grower, part magician, particularly in smaller games. But we'll talk about the theme of the script and the Evil Twin's place in that. Obviously, you've got a lot of characters that the Evil Twin can see, but I'm going to put it to you that the mayor isn't necessarily the best one, because if the Evil Twin sees the mayor, and you get down to final 3, you know for a fact that you have a mayor in the game. Obviously you could have evil players doing shenanigans, but you cannot go for the mayor win.
Yes.
Because good cannot win while both of the twins are alive. So you need to make sure that you've dealt with the evil twin before that situation. At which point you've got a confirmed
You're already
mayor.
done.
You've got a confirmed mayor in the game almost certainly,
Yeah.
which can lead to a little bit of an anticlimax or the storyteller being kind of softly forced to let a kill go through on the mayor. Is there anything I'm missing?
No, that is totally accurate. The idea of the script is too many mayors. Doesn't have to be too many mayors, though.
Sure.
Evil Twins, mayor has to be dealt with earlier. But you don't have to have the mayor be the twin.
A controversial one that I like, that I know a lot of people don't, is twin poppy growers. How do you feel about that one?
Twin poppy growers, I like it. I would probably go with twin sailors
Sure.
because there's a lot going on there.
Sure.
But
Is it controversial because the demon is unlikely to kill either of them and you just have a poppy grower around for
I don't
forever?
know.
Is
A
that
lot-
it? Like, I don't see the problem with it.
A lot of people don't seem to like it. I've seen a few people who think, oh, I don't want a twin poppy grower. That's not particularly interesting. So I guess because they don't get information.
It does kind of force the demon to do something about it, right? So like,
Yeah, I think
they can guess right. They can lean on their social reads and try to hit the poppy grower, and then you have a confirmed evil player alive. Or if they get it wrong, then they've just killed one of their minions. And so I guess I can see why that might feel unpleasant for some people, but I think it's interesting.
Yeah, I think it presents a really interesting opportunity for or option for the demon, because even if they can sort of figure out which one they think it is from other information, like maybe a noble, just off the top of my head, or a seamstress that picked them and one of the twins and got a yes or a no. I think it still presents that really interesting option of, do you kill the good twin and get the information about the other minion or minions, or do you let them
keep the evil
be? Do you
twins
keep the
going?
evil twin?
I
And
do
build
think
teams like-
Vigor Mortis is not on the script, but I do actually think that Vigor Mortis with twin poppy growers would make it
Yeah.
even more interesting.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, I like that as an evil twin option. But let's talk about the other three minions, because they are in common with Trust, but I think they do some fairly different things.
Yeah.
So do you want to talk to us about why you put them on
So
that?
Serenovus needs to. This script's all about madness, so I had to have the Serenovus, of course. Make people claim to. There's a lot of information roles on this script, so the Serenovus can help force the town, or encourage the town to hide that information for a bit. Marionette, I added because you never know if the mayor's a marionette, or any
Right.
other role, of course.
I've yet to see a mayorinette win, and by going for the mayor win and just like getting to win with evil, and I'm very upset about it.
I've seen them come so close so many times. One
Me
day,
too.
one
One this weekend.
really.
Really?
Chris G, who plays on our got one this weekend.
Did they know? Did,
He did not.
And I wasn't
they
there
didn't know they were
for
the
it.
marionette.
Did not know.
Amazing. We've had plenty.
ClocktowerCon has committed a great sin against me personally by having that happen with me not there to see it.
The wrath of the goose.
Probably with Chris, I'm going to have to check. But he did tell me about it.
That's brilliant. Yeah. You are literally, yeah. I'm also appreciating all of the contributions from our audience, even though we all know that they are obviously only here for this profile that I brought for the end of the panel.
So
But yeah, the minions.
with the Godfather, I originally had the Fearmonger in here because with the focus on the mayor, I want to give evil another win condition as well. But that was changing the feel of the games, not quite getting not getting the way I wanted to do.
Sure.
So I took that out, added Godfather. That way you have some outsider manipulation as well, and that has worked out pretty well.
Yeah, you've also got the Fangu doing that.
Yeah. That way,
for
if there's
+2,
extra-
-1.
If there's an extra outsider, you don't know if it's Fangu or Godfather.
Right.
Can't be certain yet.
Yeah. So do you have like a homebrew fable that says that if the Serenovus chooses any other character than the mayor, something bad might happen?
No.
Make somebody pivot to mayor on final 3.
Yeah, that's a thing you can do if you have a Serenovus alive in final 3.
Yeah.
So you've got the Serenovus and the Evil Twin are the only kind of they are the big semi-public minions without being too public. How do you feel that plays with Legion?
So I have, in a Legion game I ran, I did have 2 Legion pretend to be evil twins together.
Right.
So that worked out pretty well and kept the Legion hidden for quite a while. Obviously, once it was out, figured out it was Legion. Those 2 died immediately.
It's a thing that can be really powerful for the Legion if they coordinate properly.
Yeah.
First time I introduced Legion to my Angel group, which for those of you who aren't familiar was a group of new players that I brought to play Clocktower together. They had one of them who was quarterbacking the entire game, going, "All right, tomorrow you're going to be Serenovus, mad that you're this. The day after you're going to go with this." And it was just beautiful to see. I can't remember if they won the game or not, but it was really something.
As a storyteller, you can support Legion with Godfather as well, because
course
you can
you
kill
can,
2 players at night and make it look like a Godfather game.
Yeah. You can also do that with Gossip. So let's talk about Gossip, which is the other multi-kill character along with the Godfather. I think those are the only 2. I'm not seeing any more.
Yes.
Yes. So talk to us about that pairing.
I wanted more information gathering, but a little bit risky.
Right.
So yes, you're getting information, but maybe you're killing the fortune teller.
Sure. Yeah. Do you think that the Gossip is too powerful? Is it too confirmable?
No, because if the demon knows the gossip, if the evil team has figured out who the gossip is, which is good for them if they'd have,
Sure.
they can sink a kill.
Sure.
You can
To hide
also
it.
kill a gossip
Yeah.
with their own gossip.
You can, yeah. Okay. Another big point of difference between the 2 scripts is our outsiders. You have one in common. So talk to us about what these outsiders do.
So the Klutz, I did want the extra win condition. I got rid of the Fearmonger, so I added the Klutz in for that, and that's worked out pretty well. Mutant, more madness all the time.
Sure.
And the script encourages them to pretend to be the mayor, just because that's the theme, but they don't have to, of course. Recluse, I needed some misinformation. There's not a ton on here, aside from the 4 tops, which is all misinformation. And Sweetheart, originally Sweetheart was a drunk. That, along with the Marionette, ended up being too much for the games I was running, so I swapped to the Sweetheart, where it can become a drunk later, essentially.
Sure. Let's talk about the mayors then. The many mayors of too many mayors. And we'll start with a pixie mayor. We've already spoken about that one, so we'll not actually talk about the mayor with that one. But what else is interesting for a pixie?
I like pixie. So we talked about whether the pixie's better for one use character or an ongoing one. I prefer the ongoing ones.
Okay.
That way, it's not really stepping on the cannibal's toes, unless of course you have a pixie cannibal. But
Sure.
that's a different thing. So obviously people do differently, but I prefer them like a pixie flower girl or a pixie cannibal.
Pixie chambermaid to make Demeta mad.
We spoke about the many nobles that you can have on the script earlier. How many nobles is too many nobles?
So in this script, you could usually have 4, I guess, with the noble, cannibal, philosopher, then an cannibal philosopher. That is
Not say anymore.
that is too many.
That is.
Yeah.
Once again, logistics planning when you have Pixie and Cannibal on the same script.
What is the sailor doing apart from covering for a lead?
Covering for leech.
Okay.
Yeah.
I find that on a high information script like the one that we've got here, it can be pretty tricky to run a sailor well, because if you start to if they pick a whole bunch of different people and they get obviously false information, you've got a confirmed person who potentially can't die.
Yeah.
So at that point, you're kind of being like, oh, well, I guess I need to make the sailor drunk on this occasion, or give the drunk player good information, and then you kind of slightly you're either giving the sailor your ability is you cannot die, you are drunk, which or the opposite.
Yeah, I didn't want to add a devil's advocate.
Right.
And I wanted the leech for that potential one-shot poisoning, but I needed something.
Sure. Fair enough.
You could sailor drunk the Klutz, and then the Klutz dies at night and wakes up and chooses an evil player.
You could do that. That is a thing that you could objectively do in a game of Blood on the Clocktower, Navean. That is something that you could do.
This is a reference to a game that Alejo and I had some time ago.
Yeah, there is the potential for a sailor to be devastating. Like even if they give correct information, like if you have if you've got 2 demon candidates and one of them voted one day and one of them didn't, and the flower girl says that yes, the demon voted, but they were picked by the sailor, even if you don't know even if the sailor was the one who was drunk, you don't know that unless you execute the sailor, and then you're not executing good players. So there is absolutely the potential for the sailor to screw with the good team in ways that are in line with the sailor's downside.
Yeah. But they have a downside for a reason.
Yeah.
A lot of times I've found that I sometimes like Fool better than Sailor as the leech cover, because first of all, you execute the player once, and then it's a built-in excuse for like, well, here's why you can't execute me again, because I'm just going to die, right? So if it happens especially later in the game, the good team may be dissuaded from just doing the double kill to confirm that's a leech. But also sometimes maybe just not even having cover for a leech, like let them deal with the fact that if they do get executed, like any other demon, there's going to be a consequence, and that consequence is they're a confirmed leech.
Yeah. That's valid. This is the first script I've ever written.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, congratulations on making
Thank
it
you.
this
It's
far.
pretty good.
Thank you.
And in spite of that, I have to ask you more questions about it. Fortune Tower and Flower Girl, are they doing the same thing?
Yes, that's why I would not expect them both to be in the same game at the same time.
Sure.
Unless the storyteller absolutely wants it.
Yeah.
But yes.
They're not obviously they're not the exact same character.
Yeah.
One of them has some agency. One of them is slightly more passive, but potentially more powerful, depending on whether town are willing to play along. But yeah, you would probably suggest that a storyteller bear that in mind when
Yeah,
choosing.
one could be in the game, one could be a bluff, so they can give conflicting information.
Right.
I do think maybe like an empath or a snake charmer could get you similar crossover without feeling quite as samey.
I didn't want. I did consider Snake Charmer for a bit. I think I actually had that in there before the poppy. I added the Poppy Grower. And it was a toss up between those. But yeah, I ended up going this direction.
Awesome. One thing that also gives me a significant pause for concern is the potential of playing as a recluse with a flower girl on the script, because it's not necessarily the most fun thing to not be able to vote without potentially causing another teammate to not be able to get reliable information. Obviously, the recluse is an outsider; it's supposed to be damaging to the good team. But is that damaging in a fun way? Is a question that I would ask, or is that? What do you think?
The test runs I've done of the game, I've done so many test runs of it.
Sure.
That has not been an issue. The recluse accepts it and moves on, explains to the flower girl if they do, then the flower girl gets them executed because they hate it. And that's life.
And then that messes with the cannibal, obviously. There's no oracle for that to really annoy.
I do think when looking at Recluse Flower Girl interaction on this script in particular, it makes Recluse a pretty big outsider, right? Because it very much restricts their voting ability if they want town to get information. But at the same time, there's only a few abilities on here that the Recluse can really mess with.
Yeah.
So it feels like maybe that's a bit of a trade-off. It becomes much more of an outsider because Flower Girl is on the script, but also, it's impacting, a seamstress, maybe a cannibal, but not hugely. It can be the extra, yes for a fortune teller, and in a noble ping, which is not ultimately all that much, I don't think, on this script.
But also with the demons that can be potential options, it only really matters, for the most part, if the demon's a Fangu. Because a leech, finding out who the leech is, isn't the worst thing in the world.
Sure.
And Vortox is going to be wrong anyway. And Legion, everyone's a demon then.
Yeah, that's fair. What is the washerwoman? What's interesting for the washerwoman to do here?
So, in theory, could confirm the mayor. I don't recommend that, but it's a possibility.
Right.
I would rather see that as confirming one of the backup mayors, for example, maybe the
Okay.
Pixie or the Cannibal.
Yeah, that is something I was going to say. How do
That's
you feel
interesting.
about a washerwoman seeing a pixie? I think that's such an interesting thing that I don't think I've ever seen before.
I like it a lot. It still gives the Pixie the option to, say, I'm just a Pixie, I know this thing's in play, or actually go for it,
Right.
while still having someone support them as a washerman.
But also kind of hinder them in getting
Yes.
their ability. I'm definitely the mayor, everybody. I'm the mayor. That's the pixie. We've got the pixie there. My ability says that's the pixie.
Well, okay, so as a bit of a rebuttal to that is it actually just creating an extra chain in the washerwoman trust, right? So you have a washerwoman
Sure.
who sees one player who sees another player, and so now instead of having two people who trust each other and are probably on a team together, you've got three.
No, I completely agree. I think it's interesting because it has potential benefits and it has potential drawbacks for the players depending on how they play it. And either option has those two paths. But yeah, I think there's definitely quite a bit of confirmation on the script. How are evil equipped to disrupt that? Do you think?
A lot through the madness.
Sure.
So they'll have to, if the good team is, deals with it, they can't get their information out in a timely manner. So that delay can cause problems, make their information suspect. Obviously, they'll figure out that there's a certain was messing with things. They don't know necessarily when that happened.
Sure.
Legion coordinating
Yeah.
really well can look like it. Vortox just makes it so that people can't confirm other players or their confirmation is suspect.
But yeah,
Absolutely.
the evil team, trying to make it look like it's a different demon, essentially. Make the weird information look like a Vortox, make weird voting patterns look like Legion when it's not.
Yeah. Wonderful. All right. I'm gonna hand this one over to Milk. Milk, destroy the script. Since Samir was so nice to you earlier.
Samir was super nice. I'm not going to be
It's your turn to really make him regret that.
What I would say, I think the thing that when we played in the game, in the stream game, the competition game, one of the things that sort of happened was that Good just kind of stumbled into a win just sort of by randomly killing off a Leech host. And it's a problem that Leech has, right? That sometimes you just go, oh yeah, well, we'll just kill that person. The Leech didn't know who it was. And I think with Leech, sometimes it's helpful to give Evil some way of doing some misdirection or redirection. And I think if the good team figures out, Washerwoman kind of lets you maybe rule out Vortox potentially. Like, if the good team figures out, oh, it's just a Leech game, the Leech hunting gets really, is a little bit easy. But I mean, that's the meanest thing I think I can say is Leech can feel a little bad just based on the experience we had.
Leech is just like that, though.
Yeah, I mean, it's a Leech thing. It's a choice. It's a choice to put Leech on the script, and Leech is like that. Leech just needs a support package that's, I don't know, it's weird. So
The support package I do not recommend is that you be the Leech and you have a lunatic, and the lunatic thinks they're a Zombool.
Oh no, no.
Do you want to explain?
It happened to me
Oh,
on a TPI stream.
oh dear.
Oh, it was on the same script that we had the drunk klutz pick you.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
Was it really?
Yeah.
I don't remember that at all, but I believe you. Yeah, I guess so. Okay, well, we are...
Wait, I have one more thing.
yeah, Navean, absolutely.
Something that I see here that I don't think we mentioned was poppy grower cannibal interaction.
Oh, right, yeah, good.
So the poppy grower is executed, the cannibal eats the poppy grower, and then the next day somebody else is executed, and now you have a situation where the evil team never learns each other, despite the fact that the poppy grower died and there's no longer a poppy grower ability in play. I know that you said before when we were talking about the magician on Milk script that you were sort of kind of thinking about one or the other, and you went with poppy grower. But I think if you're going to go with cannibal, and with Vortox as well, maybe magician is the better choice for you there, because you avoid the cannibal thing and you avoid having to house rule the Vortox because magician isn't impacted by Vortox.
Yeah, the interaction of poppy grower and cannibal, I have always run it as once a cannibal loses the ability, then the evil team finds out. And
yeah, I think that's a good house rule, to be fair.
I understand why that is not the actual rule, as you explain it.
I think it's good to house rule that as well.
Yeah.
But if you change it to magician, you get a somewhat similar effect without having to house rule it or without having to rely on other storytelling your script and not knowing that maybe they should house rule it that way.
That is very valid.
Actually, I do have one more character that we've not touched on at all. What do you see as being the chained maze role?
More information.
Sure.
Yeah.
Make the maiden mad.
You do have a good variety of wake patterns among the evil team, but yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, it's an easy way to find Legion.
It's a good way. It's a good way to hunt down potential twins.
Yeah,
for sure. Okay, in which case we are pretty much done here. I'm going to give you both 20 seconds to tell us why your script is the best one. So 1 or 2 sentences. Why is your script the best one? And we'll start with Milk.
I mean, the core of Blood on the Clocktower is trusting people that you don't want to trust, right? So a social script that has a lot of ways for things to require you to do a trust fall is the core of Blood on the Clocktower. I think people who like mechanical scripts and like really solvable puzzles, that's awesome. But that's just for me, that's a different game. I want a game where I do end up having to trust someone who's murdered me in my face many times to be able to win.
Okay.
Madness is fun, and double claims are okay.
Both very compelling arguments. I'm obviously going to close with one that our regulars who watch script notes on Twitch will be wondering why I've not asked yet, but I've been saving it. What's the best base script?
Trouble Brewing. It's Trouble Brewing.
Bad and Rousing.
Okay. Yeah, most people do say Trouble Brewing. I think we've had a handful of people who haven't. Okay, well, thank you both very much for taking time to discuss these two great scripts, these two great finalist scripts with us. I look forward to seeing which one it is that eventually is the grand champion. You two obviously excited to see how well you've done as well.
Yeah.
Find that out tomorrow.
Yeah.
We'll see we will see who it is. We will leave that, of course, with you to think about which one of these two scripts you think is the best one. But thank you to Milk. Absolutely. Thank you, Samir. Oh, yeah, great. And thank you to you, Navean, as well. You are my favorite enemy bird. I don't know.
Thank you.
And thank you to everyone who's come to listen to us talk about these two scripts for the last hour of your lives. That's now you're not getting back. I'm sorry.
I'm not sorry.
But in compensation, I do have Stroopwafel. We will see you. For those of you who do watch us on Twitch, we will see you next Monday. Obviously not this Monday because we're here. When we'll be talking about the results, we'll be discussing our script competition. There is still time to enter that. So if you want to build a script, which one is it? Is the fib in right?
I was just about to say, is it bad PR if I ask you what it was? I have forgotten.
It's been a very long weekend already. It's built as a script that uses the fibbing, and we will figure out which are the best two scripts, and we'll play them live on stream. Send that to us on Discord, and maybe we'll talk to one of you at some point in the future. But thanks once again to all of you for coming, and I hope to see you in a game of Clocktower sometime.